Hi everyone, Shikha this side. Hope you're all doing great, and I'm back with another art journal video. So as you can see, there are bits and pieces on the page. These were in my stash, and I was like, okay, let me build something up with them because I was really, since it started getting hot in my area, I am really getting, fantasizing about hillside and go sunny weather and green background, green valleys and trees. So that's what I'm trying to recreate here based on my imagination. So what I'm doing right now is I am giving the page a coat of gesso so that I can apply all the color, background color. So I am using all the distress oxide coloring for this. Even my birch tree and my leaves are colored using distress oxide. For this background I am using one lipstick, Victorian velvet and squeezed lemonade. So I'm starting with squeezed lemonade. I don't have any plans how I'm going to color it, but all I knew was I wanted to put these three color on my as part of my background. So that's what I'm doing here, as you can see. The reason for putting gesso is because normal paper soaks in a lot of color, and it is a big background, not like a small background, small page. So to ease up my work because of that I put the gesso so that the colors can blend well and they spread far, if you understand what I'm trying to say here. So now my background is done, and I have given a sort of a placement to where my birch trees are going to be. This is a hillside which I have created a while back, and I'm putting it on the page. So if you are wondering how did I make such an incredible hillside, well, definitely not from my bare hands. Had some help. I used Lawn Fawn's hillside stencil for this. I traced it on a normal A4 sheet paper, copy paper, yeah, and then I used a distress oxide evergreen bow and bundled sage with a hint of yellow and hint of pink at the bottom, which obviously I am not capturing in this video right now, but you will see it later. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to place all the leaves. My idea is I want to hide the top of the birch trees behind these leaves. Nothing is real inspired by reality here. It's just inspired by the idea that I have in my mind, and so yeah, so my according to that I want to have my page both green, full with leaves, and with birch tree, and with the hillside with a pink background. So as you can see, I have glued the leaves down, and for dimension I have given some of the leaves foam tape. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to give some texture to my page. I didn't want it to use structure based. I wanted to keep it very simple, and I didn't want it to introduce any color, or I didn't want it to even make it monochromatic, like using the same pink but in a high tone, in a denser tone. So I thought, okay, let's use the white jelly roll pen from Bristol, and I created these patterns from the stencil. So yeah, this is another great way of using the stencil if you don't want to crowd your already crowded background and you want to keep it subtle. So as you can see, instead of using splatters, I used dots from the jelly roll pen. I created dots, random dots, and now it's time to put the coat. So my plan was to use embossing, to do embossing, and use white embossing powder so that I can, finish off the page. But you'll see what happened. So what I'm doing right now is my art journal is pretty bulky, and I knew that impression of the embossing of stamping will not be proper. So what I did was took the page and tried to stamp on it so that the stamping is all equal and aligned. So here I'm using the embossing powder, putting it on the coat, and cleaned it, and I was like, okay, this white is pretty faint. Maybe it will show up when I'll heat set it. And I kept on working as usual. I didn't even realize that it almost showing as nothing when I kept my art journals straight. And yes, once I did the heat embossing, I realized that instead of white embossing powder, I used clear embossing powder. So now the idea of using white is gone, and this is going to be an attempt 1. And I first tried on the corner, then I was like, okay, I could go wrong. So what I was doing is it's a text stamp, and I was giving a lot of pressure onto it, so obviously it all smudged. Then I put a little ink and a little pressure, and then I didn't get the full impression and I got a smudge. So by this time I was quite confused, like what to do and how to do, and I was like, okay, let's me first clean up the stamp, and then I did an attempt 3. So this time I put the ink very tightly and checked if it's all moist, the stamp is all moist and covered properly. Then I put the stamp, and I didn't put any pressure on the stamp but on the acrylic, and yay! This time it was success. And just to make it pop, I'm using the clear embossing powder, and tell you what, this was my first time and probably going to be the last time. Never ever do the clear embossing or any kind of embossing on tissue paper, because that thing flies everywhere. I'm talking about the tissue paper, not the embossing powder. So yeah, see, it's not staying straight, so it was pretty difficult for me to melt the embossing powder. But yes, where there's a will, there's a way, and perseverance always wins. So I was able to do it, and the code says, just because my path is different does not mean that I am lost. So right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to use a very dry brush, or completely dry brush, with a matte medium. I'm doing this because all my background is done with Distress Oxide, and using a wet brush with a wet matte medium can result in smudging. And so that is one thing I really wanted to avoid, and because there was a lot of matte medium underneath the coat, I tried to press it out, and my goal was to make this tissue paper as transparent as possible, but it was not easy. But okay, I managed to do it. So now when I was done, I felt that a touch of little whimsical is required in this page, because nothing about this page is real. Like, you don't go get those kind of leaves on a birch tree. So yeah, so first I tried with yellow distress oxide. I did a light hand, and it wasn't that visible, but it gives sort of a very nice texture. But then to spice it up, I did add a little bit of worn lipstick on top, and that really bring out that whimsical feel on the hillside. Here's another thing: when I started putting signature to my art journal, I realized that I have not trimmed the edges. So that's what I've started doing, and I'll trim the edges, and yeah, that give the final look to the art journal. So one thing I would like to say is, never be afraid of going out of the page when you are trying to paste something, because it always gives a very organic look. And that's it. It's done, guys. I hope you like this quick tutorial, which definitely took me a long time to work on. Shrink it down for you guys. If you want to know how I created these leaves, if you want a tutorial, let me know in the comments. Bye.